Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my channel? Thank you so much. I had just reunited with my husband after being apart for a long time and had returned to my home country. I went to the hospital for a checkup, planning to prepare for starting a family. However, without any reason, an expectant mother cut in line ahead of me. I initially wanted to reason with her, but she became very aggressive, shouting at me and even threatening to call someone for support. To my shock, the person she called turned out to be my husband. Suddenly, it dawned on me that I had been deceived. Chapter 1. I hadn't seen my husband for a year when I first spotted him hurrying towards me. I felt a mix of joy and confusion. How did he know I was in the hospital? Before I could even call him, I smiled and started walking towards him, only to see another woman step forward and throw herself into his arms. "Honey, you're finally here. If you had come, I would have been bullied to death," the woman cried softly, completely different from the fierce demeanor she had shown while arguing with me. I stood there frozen, watching them embrace. Was this man Thomas really her husband? And if so, who is my husband? Thomas furrowed his brow, gently wiping away the woman's tears. The tenderness in his gaze was palpable. His usually impeccable shirt was buttoned askew, a sign of his hurried departure. "Don't be scared, darling. I'm here now," he held her protectively, careful of her pregnant belly. "Are you feeling any pain?" She looked to be about 7 or 8 months pregnant. Biting her lip, she replied, "A little bit." Thomas's expression darkened. He turned to the people around him and said coldly, "Make sure this incident is handled properly. I don't want anyone who mistreats my baby to get away with it." With that, he scooped her up and quickly left the hospital, paying no attention to the stares of the onlookers. He was so focused on her and their unborn child that he didn't even glance my way, even though I was standing not far off. As the crowd dispersed, one of Thomas's friends approached, ready to confront whoever had caused trouble. But when he saw my face, he froze. "Sophia." Hearing this term, I could only manage a bitter smile. My legs felt like lead and my mind was reeling from the scene I had just witnessed. What more was there to understand? A year apart in a foreign country, and my husband had found someone else. Perhaps he had kept her by his side ever since I left, and his friends were fully aware they had a new sister-in-law. So what did that make me? Seeing my red eyes, Thomas's friend Robert walked over, looking a bit awkward. "Look, Thomas was just playing around. Now that you're back, he'll sort out all this mess." "Really?" I could barely see through my tears, my voice hoarse. If he wanted to sort it out, would he have let her get pregnant? Robert opened his mouth but had nothing to say. My heart was in turmoil. Thomas and I had known each other since we were young. Our families had arranged our marriage, and I thought it was the perfect love story. But as just a story, I couldn't pretend nothing had happened. Wiping away my tears quickly, I said, "If you feel any guilt towards me, do me a favor." "What is it?" "Don't tell Thomas the first was here today." Without waiting for his response, I left the hospital. Chapter 2. The thick stack of medical reports in my hand now seemed like a cruel joke. If there was one flaw in our marriage, it was the lack of children. We were once the model couple among our friends. Though our marriage was arranged, we had grown up together. Thomas had always been considerate, never raising his voice at me. Our friends and family often said I had married the right man. But after 6 years of marriage, I hadn't gotten pregnant. In the year abroad, besides resolving Thomas's company's crisis, I had been seeking medical advice to improve my health, but it was all in vain. Someone else had given him a child. I threw the reports into the trash and navigated my way to a law firm. On the way, memories flashed through my mind. One moment, I saw Thomas proposing to me on the university track. The next, I saw him embracing that woman. When I arrived at the firm, the lawyer seemed taken aback by my pale face. Looking in the mirror, I realized how drained I looked. I consulted the lawyer about a divorce. Having just signed a major deal abroad, a divorce now would cost me a lot of money. The lawyer advised me to reconsider, saying it wasn't a wise decision at this time. "It's fine, just draft the agreement," I said calmly. My marriage with Thomas was over, there was no going back. That afternoon, I took the agreement to our office. As soon as I opened the door, I ran into Thomas. He was carrying a briefcase and a small suitcase. Seeing me, he looked surprised. "Sophia, you're back. Why didn't you call me to pick you up?" Before I could respond, he continued apologetically, "I didn't expect you to come back now. I have a business trip to a neighboring province. I'll have the driver take you home. You've worked hard abroad, take some time to rest. Once I get some time off, I'll take you to Switzerland." If I hadn't seen what happened at the hospital, I might have believed his lies. I stared into his eyes, seeing no trace of deceit. I couldn't help but think with acting skills this good, he should have gone into the entertainment industry instead of starting a company. He'd surely win an Oscar. Thomas, let's get a divorce. My tone was so calm that he didn't take it seriously. He smiled helplessly and reached out to touch my head. Don't be silly. Wait for me at home. I tilted my head to avoid his hand. Thomas's face froze and he seemed about to say something when his phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, his expression changed. He threw out a quick, Sophia, be good. I'm in a rush. We'll talk when I get back, and left in a hurry. I looked around the office. After a year, there were some new trinkets. Noticing the casually placed lipstick on his desk and the intimate apparel peeking out from a folder, I sneered. They were quite bold. I narrowed my eyes, thinking about the woman's pregnancy. She must be over 7 months along, counting the time they must have been involved right under my nose. Before I left, there was no way this was a coincidence. Thomas must have orchestrated my trip abroad to make room for his affair and ensure the birth of his illegitimate child. I recalled feeling guilty for not getting pregnant despite being married for years and how Thomas had comforted me gently. It doesn't matter if we can't have a baby, having you was enough for me, he had said, and I was moved to tears. Now I realized he had been plotting to find someone else to bear his child because I couldn't. How laughable. Chapter 3. Thomas continued to call me daily, sending texts to check in. He claimed to be busy and exhausted, falling asleep as soon as he hit the bed in his hotel. He also said he missed me and promised to take me along on his next business trip. I didn't respond to a single message. My phone was filled with photos from the private investigator. Thomas hadn't left the city at all. He had been spending his days with that woman, acting like newlyweds. Comparing the two streams of information, you would think Thomas had a twin brother living a double life. After a week, Thomas finally returned. I texted him to meet me at the office. When he walked in and saw the scene, he paused for a moment, then asked with a nonchalant smile, "Why did you call everyone here?" The board members I had summoned were equally puzzled, but sensed something was off, so they remained silent. I didn't answer Thomas. Instead, I calmly pulled out a stack of documents from my bag. I spread them out on the table one by one. Share transfer agreement, company agent transfer agreement, and finally, the divorce agreement. Thomas's smile froze when he saw the last document. After a moment, he forced a smile. Sophia, when did you become such a businesswoman? My tone was indifferent. Look over the contracts. If everything's in order, sign them. We're getting a divorce. Thomas's expression stiffened, but he quickly recovered, speaking with a mix of helplessness and affection. Sophia, don't be ridiculous. Everyone has work to do. The board can go, we'll talk privately. The board members exchanged glances but didn't dare move. Seeing this, Thomas had no choice but to address me directly. He pulled out a blue velvet box from his bag. Sophia, look at this. My gaze fell on the necklace inside. The central blue sapphire was as deep and tranquil as the ocean. Thomas spoke softly, you said you loved this necklace. I had to pull a lot of strings to get it. When we were dating, I had mentioned wanting a blue sapphire necklace. It was my lucky stone, and I believed it would bring me good fortune. On our wedding day, he had said, I'll get you a whole set of blue sapphire jewelry, okay? Holding me close and kissing my earlobe. I smiled and made a pinky promise with him, but on our wedding day, he didn't fulfill that promise. Mice with his resources, getting a blue sapphire necklace shouldn't have been difficult, but he hadn't truly cared. Now he was offering it as compensation for his guilt. I couldn't help but wonder if every surprise he had prepared for me was out of guilt or shame. Suppressing the nausea rising in my throat, I said, sign the papers. Thomas's smile faded and his expression grew serious. He looked at me for a long moment. Are you serious? I pulled out a stack of intimate photos of him and the other woman and laid them on the table. What do you think? Chapter 4. The photos showed the two of them in intimate poses that left no room for doubt, especially since the woman was visibly pregnant. Mr. Thomas, who is this woman? One of the board members who had known my parents for years asked. Thomas pursed his lips, looking at me with a calm expression. Sophia, you've misunderstood. She's Robert's woman. I was just helping to take care of her. If you don't believe me, I can call them here to clarify. His tone was sincere, as if I had indeed made a mistake. I smiled and turned on the speakerphone, addressing the person on the other end. Robert, how does it feel to be an unwitting father? There was a long silence before Robert's voice, sounding a bit broken, responded, Sophia, am I just a pawn in your game? I looked at Thomas's stunned expression and smirked. Don't say that. It wasn't me who dragged you into this mess. Thomas hurriedly stepped forward. Robert, isn't it your child? Help me explain to Sophia. I lazily mocked, yes, Robert, if it's really yours, go ahead and admit it. Don't let me misunderstand. Dear Thomas, we're about to get divorced. Under Thomas's hopeful gaze, Robert struggled to find his voice. Sorry, Thomas, I can't help you out this time. Then he hung up. I looked at Thomas's pale face with derision. It seems your good friend isn't willing to take the blame for you. I pointed to the divorce agreement on the table. Sign it. Don't waste everyone's time. Thomas shook his head. No, Sophia, you have to believe me. This is all a misunderstanding, he pleaded. I don't know why Robert denied it, but Sophia, we've known each other for so many years. Don't you understand me? How could I ever do something to hurt you? His gaze was intense, reminiscent of the look he had when he vowed to love me on our wedding day. How blind I had been not to see through his deceit. Then Thomas, do you remember saying you'd never let anyone who bullied your baby get away with it? I said, my face devoid of emotion. Well, here I am. Let's see what happens. Thomas's eyes widened, his face turning ashen. That day it was you? I nodded. Yes, it was me, Thomas. I saw it with my own eyes. How can you still deny it? Chapter 5. Thomas still refused to sign the papers. I didn't mind, his infidelity was a clear fact. Even if we went to court, I was determined to get a divorce. But Thomas seemed obsessed, sending flowers to my new villa daily, along with various blue sapphire jewelry. I instructed the housekeeper. She looked at them regretfully and asked if she could take them home to freshen up her bathroom. I generously agreed. As for the blue sapphire jewelry, I sold it and donated the money to impoverished areas. Thomas might be a scoundrel, but I refused to be like him. That evening, my best friend Lisa dragged me to a bar. She was always a wild one, ordering 3 male models, one to serve drinks, one to show off his abs, and one to serenade us. I watched, feeling a bit envious. I rarely went to bars or nightclubs when I was with Thomas, fearing his disapproval. Perhaps to make up for lost time, I impulsively ordered 18 male models. Even Lisa was shocked. I took a sip of my drink, admiring the lineup of abs before me, and smiled. I snapped a photo and posted it on social media with the caption, "Living my best life." The reactions were immediate, with likes and comments flooding in. Lisa leaned over excited. Do you think Thomas will rush over here when he sees this? I rolled my eyes. What's there to catch? We're getting divorced, and even if he saw it, he had no right to say anything after getting another woman pregnant. But I underestimated his shamelessness. Thomas called repeatedly, the constant ringing annoying me. What do you want, Sophia? Where are you? Is it that troublemaker Lisa who took you to that kind of place? I told you before, she's no good. Stay away from her. My best friend raised an eyebrow, mouthing, he's the one who's no good. I gave her a look of reassurance, indicating that I'd cover the bill today, and she backed off. Where I am is none of your business. If you have any sense, sign the divorce papers. Don't let this drag to court. It'll be embarrassing for everyone. Thomas softened his tone. Sophia, what do I have to do for you to forgive me? I was disgusted by his pitiful act. Thomas, I'll never forgive you. Stop dreaming. Sophia, I know you still love me, he insisted. Why else would you accept the flowers and jewelry I sent? I laughed. Oh, those? The flowers are probably in the bathroom by now. As for the jewelry, if you want it, you can find it on the market. The price might have gone up. He must have been infuriated by my words because he hung up abruptly. Lisa gave me a thumbs up. You go, girl. I raised my glass to her. After a sip of the new drink, my head started to swim. I frowned. This drink had quite a kick. After paying the bill, I told Lisa that the remaining 18 male models were all hers and prepared to head home. While waiting for my driver at the entrance, I felt dizzy and bumped into someone's chest. Ouch, I muttered, rubbing my forehead. What hit me? A familiar voice came from above. I could say the same about your hard head. I looked up, surprised to see Robert. Robert, what are you doing here? He leaned against the door frame, holding a cup, and looked at me with amusement. He raised an eyebrow. Why not? As he approached, I tensed up. What do you want? Relax, I don't bite. I'm not a beast, Robert said, handing me the cup. Cup, it's honey water. Drink it. I hesitated before taking the cup. Robert, perhaps sensing my discomfort, left with a casual, come out for breakfast when you're ready. I sniffed the liquid, it was indeed honey water. As memories of last night trickled back, I couldn't figure out Robert's intentions. After freshening up, I found the breakfast table set for 2. It seemed Robert had cooked. The food looked delicious. After breakfast, Robert offered to drive me home. Before I could respond, my phone rang. It was my mother. I frowned and answered, "Mom." "Sophia, where are you?" "Thomas called saying he couldn't find you." I could hear my father's angry voice in the background. "A young lady staying out all night? Disgraceful." I had blocked my parents from seeing last night's social media post. Thomas had some nerve tattling to them. Before I could reply, Robert took the phone from me. "Mrs. Liu, it's Robert. Sophia is with me." Yes, I needed her advice on a new case. I heard my parents' laughter on the phone, watching Robert handle this so smoothly. I was stunned. What was his game? After the call, Robert handed the phone back to me. All sorted, I took it, feeling awkward. "Thanks." He smiled. "No problem, just treat me to a meal." I guessed he wouldn't let that go, would he? In the end, I let Robert drive me home. As soon as I got in, Thomas called. I sneered, perfect timing. I had some things to say. Answering the call, I didn't hold back. "Thomas, seriously? Running to my parents to tattle? Did you want me to tell them about your affair and your love child?" "Sophia, don't be so angry. I was just worried about you." I was disgusted by his hypocritical concern. "Let me say this one last time, sign the papers." "Sophia, you know I won't agree to a divorce," Thomas said with that infuriatingly self-righteous tone. "Then we'll see each other in court," I snapped, about to hang up when he added, "Wait, Sophia, my mother wants us to come over for dinner this weekend. I know you don't want to see me right now, but my mother has always been good to you. We're family friends, surely you won't refuse." I sighed, my patience wearing thin. "Fine, I'll pick you up." "No need," I replied icily. "I'm only going for your mother's sake, Thomas. Don't push your luck." That weekend, I arrived at the Thomas family home, hearing the laughter and chatter from the living room. I paused and asked the butler, "Are there other guests today?" Before he could answer, Thomas's mother called out, "Is that Sophia? Come in, dear." I stepped into the living room, my smile fading as I took in the scene. "Hello, Mrs. Thomas." She didn't seem to notice the change in my greeting, beaming as she took my hand. "Sophia, let me introduce you to someone. This is my newly adopted goddaughter." The woman I'd seen at the hospital looked surprised and apologetic. "So you're Thomas's wife? I didn't know. I'm so sorry about before. I wasn't feeling well and acted rashly. I hope you can forgive me." "Goddaughter." I repeated the words, tasting bitter. Did Mrs. Thomas? I was carrying her son's child. If not, this was a cruel setup if she did. It was a blatant affront. I pulled my hand away, my tone cold. "Really? You didn't seem unwell when you were shouting at me." Anne's face fell and her eyes filled with tears. "So you're not going to forgive me?" I stayed silent, seeing her about to cry. Miss Thomas hurried to soothe her. "Oh, it's nothing, dear. And Sophia, she's pregnant. You should be more understanding, isn't that right, Sophia?" I remained silent. Mrs. Thomas's smile dimmed and she said sharply, "It seems you don't intend to give me any face, Sophia." With obvious effort, I stood up and held Miss Thomas's hand, comforting her. "Don't be angry, godmother. We all respect you." Thomas entered with a tray of fruit, smiling as he saw me. "Sophia, you're here." He walked over, trying to take my hand, but I stepped back. "Thomas, my stomach hurts," Anne's voice was soft and pitiful. Thomas hesitated, glancing at me before moving to her side. "What's wrong?" Anne clutched her belly, looking pained. "The baby kicked me." Thomas's expression softened as he looked at her belly. I felt a wave of revulsion. Mrs. Thomas, meanwhile, was not so subtly needling me. And is such a blessing. If only I could have a grandchild. I couldn't take it anymore. "Mrs. Thomas, your grandchild is right there in Anne's belly." Her smile froze. "Thomas didn't tell you he cheated on me and got her pregnant?" The atmosphere turned icy. "Sophia." I cut him off. "Did you think I wouldn't find out? You think I'm supposed to be happy about this?" Mrs. Thomas's face turned red with anger. You're nothing but a bear. And Anne, at least Dan can give us a grandchild." I scoffed. "So to you, a woman's worth is just a womb? Funny how you didn't think that way when Mr. Thomas had an affair. You were ready to burn the house down." Mrs. Thomas trembled with rage. "Thomas, you should really consider a career in acting. Your performance is Oscar-worthy." I smirked. "Don't worry, I'll be out of your lives soon enough." I sobbed dramatically, leaning into Thomas. "It's all my fault." "Sophia, please don't fight with Thomas because of me," Miss Thomas urged. "Thomas, comfort her. She's carrying my grandchild." Thomas tried to come and who threatened to leave and terminate the pregnancy. Mrs. Thomas panicked, pushing him to reassure her. I seized the moment, pulling out the divorce papers. Thomas, sign these and you can have your happy ending. Anne's eyes lit up. Please, Thomas, I don't want to cause any more trouble. Under his mother's and Anne's pressure, Thomas reluctantly signed the papers. With the documents in hand, I turned to leave. Thomas followed me. Sophia, no matter what, I still love you. I rolled my eyes, walking away without a word. I heard that and went into labor prematurely after I left, her water breaking from the stress. She was rushed to the hospital. At that time, I was having lunch with Robert. He seemed to be everywhere lately, persistent as gum on a shoe. He insisted I owed him, so I agreed to. Lunch, he handed me a file and I was stunned. What's this? I looked at the diagnosis, especially the words azoospermia, and was speechless. Robert casually cut his steak. Thomas's medical report? I knew what it was, but the diagnosis, how did you get this? Does Thomas know? I had a feeling Thomas didn't. If he knew, he wouldn't be claiming the baby as his own. Then whose baby is it? Robert shrugged. Look further. I turned the pages, finding photos of Anne with another man. I couldn't help but marvel. You're ruthless. Was this really his friend? Robert, what are you after? He looked at me intently before smiling. Just giving someone a taste of their own medicine. Back home, I tried not to dwell on Robert's motives. Anne's baby boy was born healthy and Mrs. Thomas was overjoyed, flooding social media with photos. The day before the baby's 100-day celebration, I finalized my divorce with Thomas. Still playing the part, he said, Sophia, if you ever need anything, I'll always be here for you. That won't be necessary. Robert appeared, pulling me close. I shot him a glare, but he ignored it. Thomas was shocked. Robert, you and Sophia? Robert kissed my forehead. Yeah, she's my girlfriend now. She doesn't need you anymore. Robert, Thomas lunged at him, but Robert shielded me, easily blocking his attacks. Don't overestimate yourself, Thomas, Robert taunted. Sophia's with me now. Thomas, tomorrow's your son's celebration. I'll send you a gift. Hope you like it. The next day, Mrs. Thomas hosted a grand celebration for her grandson, inviting many guests, including my parents. They didn't want to go, but I convinced them otherwise. It was going to be quite the show. Glowing with pride, she kept glancing at me smugly. I sat calmly next to Robert, waiting for the fireworks. Soon, the lights dimmed and a slideshow began, but instead of baby photos, it showed Anne with another man. I turned pale. Mrs. Thomas slapped her. How dare you cheat on my son? No, it's fake. It's all fake. Thomas tried to calm his mother. Mom, it's photoshopped. I'll have it checked. Before he could finish, a medical report appeared on the screen. Seeing his name and the diagnosis, Thomas went white. He stormed over to us. You did this. I smiled, saying nothing. Tell me it's fake. You did this to get back at me. Robert stepped in. Thomas, you have a brain. Check for yourself. The party was over. Mrs. Thomas dragged Anne and the baby for a DNA test. The result was predictable, and Anne and the baby were thrown out of the Thomas household. Lisa eagerly reported that Thomas, for all his efforts, turned out to be the infertile one. Serves him right. Hello, Sophia, you there? I barely had the energy to respond as Robert kept me occupied. How does this feel, Sophia? His voice was husky and seductive. Did he ever touch you here? I tried to stay silent. In the end, I could only beg for mercy. As I lay against Robert's chest, drifting to sleep, I thought, this is even better than the 18 male models I ordered. Life is indeed looking up.